Hey, Boaz here with Next Pittsburgh. I'm here in Upper Lawrenceville to go behind the scenes of Hellbender Vinyl. All right, I'm here with Mike and Jeff from Hellbender Vinyl. People say there's no more manufacturing happening in Pittsburgh, but that is a lie because you're making records right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, first of all, there's a smell when you come in here, and I guess that's the smell of vinyl, presumably.
Yeah, that's the smell of PVC pellets.
Over there, I see big bags of things, and I assume this is where things start.
Yeah, so these happens to be red pellets.
Okay.
So we've got all the colors you could hope for. Black is the standard, of course, but whatever. We do multiple colors too. We do all sorts of swirls.
And then where does it go from here? You start with pellets, and what's step number? Well, I guess step number one.
They all go into this hopper right here. They pour into this extruder. It spins it and it swirls it in order to heat up the pellets and turn it into basically a semi-solid, like a liquid.
That's what we're seeing over here.
This one's still a little warm, so you got to be careful if you want to.
Oh, it is warm. It's funny. It looks like a giant licorice candy or something to me.
Yeah. You know, we're a hockey town, so we call it a puck.
Okay.
Some people call it a biscuit or a donut. Sort of depends on how hungry you are that day.
Yeah.
And Nick over here is actually, he's pressing the record.
Maybe you can even just tell me what's happening. What are we watching right now?
What we do is we heat up that PVC up to 300 degrees. We put it in this hydraulic press. Pardon.
You want to like melt it, but not melt it too much.
Well, yeah, that being said, when we get the record out, we don't want to have liquid plastic on our hands.
Like record soup.
Exactly. As soon as it's in those grooves as intricately as possible, we stop running hot water and we instantly switch over to running cold water. We flash freeze it.
And so there's water like inside those like silver things?
Yeah, so that is hydraulic, and yeah, so we are running hot water and cold water, and it all happens in about a little under 1 minute.
So is the song already on there?
Yes, the song is essentially etched into the stampers that you can see on there.
Oh, so this stamper, every single record, has a new stamper. Like when we make the next Pittsburgh Ginzer Backstage Pass theme song, we would need to get a custom stamp and have, oh wow, this is like what you get after you get your record goes platinum, isn't it?
Well, this one's silver nickel, so I don't know. Maybe you sell like 2,500 and you get the silver nickel. As you can imagine, it's like a stamp. It's a stamper. So this is the inverse of what actually goes into the record.
Well, and this thing is wild because it just sort of like trims the little sort of wings off the edges.
So when we're pressing it, we're squishing it. You're not gonna get a perfect circle. Some extra is gonna be on the sides. So what we do is this machine trims it so it comes out as a perfect circle, just like the records in your record collection that you know and love.
And can you reuse those little bits?
Absolutely, yeah. We regrind them, we reduce, we reuse, we recycle here. So they're gonna stay there until they're cool, and those are weighted too, so they maintain their shape as well.
I guess it makes sure it doesn't get like warped or wavy or anything. And how did you get into this line of work?
I'm a music lover all my life, a musician all my life. I've been running record labels for about the last 10 years. Bands that I was working with, they would come to me and say like, hey, we want to press vinyl. It was getting harder and harder. It was taking longer and longer. One fateful day I met with the Peduto administration and I told them, it'd be really cool if Pittsburgh had its own vinyl plant. And a couple of years later, we got all the paperwork settled and here we are. Wow. So we've got our white paper sleeves first, and we have a jacket. And so this is actually a local band, Northside Organ Trio.
Oh.
So
Are there 3 organs playing?
Yes.
Gosh, I'd like to hear that. It sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
Oh, so they have how many records are we looking at here? Is this a couple hundred?
So this is an order of 1,000 that we're putting together.
Oh.
Yeah.
My gosh. Well, what are they? Nordista Freeze?
Nordista Freeze is an artist from Nashville that we're producing today.
They're getting a free shout out here.
Yeah.
And so they're not even local to Pittsburgh. They just found you.
That's correct. Yeah, we make records for folks all over the country. We've actually had an international order as well, so all over.
There's 2 pieces of quality to a record. One of them is visual and one of them is audio, right? And our visual inspection is actually what's happening here. As Nick presses the record, he's actually taking a look at it to make sure that there's no blemishes, that there's nothing that's going to make the needle hop, anything like that. It doesn't have any imperfections. This is Orlando. When a record passes visual, it's going to get in here, and then he's going to put it on the needle, listen to it all the way through. And that has to happen at a certain frequency, too, because those records are pressing a lot of plates, right?
So let's say you're in there, you play a record, and you're like, this doesn't sound quite right. How do you adjust it to make it right?
Well, what I do is I then consult with Nick, who's our press operator, and I, point out any type of either visual or audible flaws that I see or hear in a record, and I just say, "Hey, I noticed this right here," and then he might like wipe the stamper off just to make sure, because sometimes debris or something may get on there.
You've brought out some of the more fun colors.
Yeah, well, I felt bad that we were just pressing, Jukebox Black today, right? So I figured I'd bring out some things and just show you some of the other things. These color splatter records can't be duplicated. So each individual piece becomes an individual piece of artwork sitting inside something. Yeah, so
How do you do something like this? Looks like it was like finger painted almost.
basically you take those hot pucks that you held and you sort of roll them in the colored pellets. And so by applying different colors and different sort of approaches, you can create these really unique designs. And not only can they be matched up with the album art of, because remember, these folks are designing their own records. So they're designing their covers, they're designing the labels.
Well, it is cool that when you created all the music and you want something sort of unique to sort of pair with that, and it's cool that they could come to you and be like, I want something purple, I want a little green, and I want there to be some randomness to it, and you could make a record that does that.
The thing that I love saying to customers is that line from Wizard of Oz where she looks up and she goes, "Can you even dye my eyes to match my dress?" And they just go, "Uh-huh." That wow effect is really what vinyl collectors and music purchasers are both looking for at the table. I mean, really, what is purchasing a record? It's literally somebody walking up to the merch table and going, I could listen to this on Spotify, but I'm going to buy this anyway. I'm going to pay money for your music because you put this on a record and it's worth it.
How many records have you pressed here? Do you have any sense?
So we're a relatively new press.
We've done over 100 clients.
Okay. Yeah. So if we've done over 100 clients, then you got to figure we're going to be in 6 digits on the year easily just this year, but we just started pressing here this year. This building's only been here for a year. So next year we're going to be, 1.5 million records over the next 5 years, more than a typical plant. So.
And so you must have listened to so much music. You come in here, you don't know what you're pressing. Have you discovered any bands?
The real answer to that question is still revealing itself to us, right? Like, we're about to live an entire new genre coming out of post-pandemic, post-election, here in America, globally. It's going to be very big. And the vinyl movement has caught the most exciting part of that because we press everybody. In this weird way, we reconstituted this 75-year-old industry, but like we're sort of also flying the flag that everybody can kind of be equal under vinyl, right? So our attitude is, yes, we're going to press it. Now, what is it? Right? And the things that we know that we're going to get to hear over the next 5 years, because we're launching this vinyl plant right at the beginning of this amazing precipice in music, is that if we know that we maintain that open attitude, then the things that we're going to find out happening first. We're going to find out what's wild, what's new, what's creative, what's tangential. And we get to do that because we will press anybody.
Well, now that we've had this conversation, is there anything you want to tell me off the record? What? That was just a joke. No, sorry.